The coronavirus pandemic has now taken the U.S. economy back to some of its darkest days in memory. New unemployment data put the situation in stark relief today, and the human cost continues to mount, with some 77,000 dead. Amna Nawaz reports on this day's developments.
Long lines at food banks and empty restaurants, snapshots of a shattered economy ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Labor Department reported more than 20 million jobs were lost last month, driving unemployment to 14.7%, its highest point since the Great Depression. Bartender Sarah Barnard was among those who recently lost her job.
I thought it was like kind of just a joke. I was like, okay, well, this is going to last like a week, and then they're going to be like, okay, everything's settling down, you can go back to work. I had no idea that it would be 2+ months, and like still we have no idea when we're going to be able to open.
Among some minorities already hard hit by the pandemic's health crisis, the economic toll became even more dire. Among Black Americans, unemployment jumped to more than 16%. For Hispanics, the figures are even more jarring, with unemployment hitting 18%. According to one recent poll, 61% now say they've experienced some sort of household income loss. That's compared with 46% of Americans overall. President Trump reacted as the numbers rolled out this morning during a phone interview with Fox and Friends.
Those jobs will all be back, and they'll be back very soon. And next year, we're going to have a phenomenal year.
But many economists have warned that repercussions will be felt for months, maybe years to come. And even the president remains vulnerable to the pandemic's reach. The White House confirmed today that a staffer for Vice President Mike Pence tested positive for the virus.
I'm not worried, but, look, I get things done. I don't worry about things. I do what I have to do. We've taken very strong precautions at the White House, but again, we're dealing with a invisible situation.
Also today, lawyers for Dr. Rick Bright, a Health and Human Services official ousted from his post, said a federal watchdog found he was removed in retaliation for opposing the stockpiling of a malaria drug touted by the president as treatment. And another report, this one looking at the Small Business Administration's first rollout of billions of dollars in aid, says the agency didn't stick to congressional rules and set restrictions that could actually hurt borrowers. Meanwhile, states across the country continue to wrestle with how to mitigate the financial fallout. In California, some stores and factories deemed low risk were back in business today, including Ginger Lee's Los Angeles florist shop, packed with the Mother's Day rush.
Yeah, it's been a struggle, but I think we're going to be okay if we all follow the rules and maintain, like they say, wear the mask, social distance. I think we'll be okay.
And we will have these.
In Texas, new safety measures, including face shields and glass barriers, were put into place at nail and hair salons before reopening.
I'm going to keep myself behind my client, never in front of my client.
Businesses are now navigating how to safely reopen in more than half of all U.S. states, moving to ease pandemic restrictions. Though some state leaders are taking those steps without meeting White House benchmarks, others are moving more cautiously. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
You can pull up the countries that reopened because they had political pressure and then saw that infection rate go right through the roof, and then they did a 180-degree turnaround 2 weeks later. Whoops, we made a mistake. I don't want to do a whoops, we made a mistake.
But governments across the world are weighing when and how to accept those risks. In South Korea, recently relaxed restrictions led to a new cluster of cases, all linked to nightclubs in Seoul. Officials ordered them closed for a month. The country had seen its lowest daily spike in cases earlier this week, but now even plans to reopen some schools next week could be delayed. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Amna Nawaz.
Back in this country, a new oversight committee in the U.S. House of Representatives demanded that large public corporations return funds they receive from a program that was designed to help small business. And Wall Street shrugged off the dismal jobs report as investors bet that the worst is over. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 455 points to close at 24,331. The Nasdaq rose 141 points, and the S&P 500 added 48.